Hello, this is Nick Dutch, and I'm responding to the response that WiseMonkey888 gave me on the subject of media studies, because I did this video as to why I felt it was important, and WiseMonkey replied. So I'm just going to go through just a few of the basic points that he raised, and I'm just going to give you my opinion, because that's basically all I can really do here, and I'm sure that's all that WiseMonkey can do based upon the information that he has at hand and the ideas and perspectives that he personally holds dear on certain subjects. The first thing I would say is that no, I was not reading from any university prospectus. I have not seen a university website for many a year. I have not even bothered to look into what courses are available for any new would-be graduates or new students. I don't care to. I do not own any prospectuses, and so no, I was not actually giving you a spiel from a university that was trying to sell you the benefits of starting a wonderful academic career studying media. I was giving you my opinion based upon what I see in the world today. You ran off a list of universities, some of them great names, Oxford, Cambridge, and so on and so forth, and it was about, was it 20 universities you mentioned? A fair number. And you did say, I wonder why they don't have media studies. To which my argument would be that of specialization, rather than some qualifications are meaningless and some are meaningful. For instance, let's say a company could specialize in hospitality, for instance. Would they have a massive and expansive financial department? Not necessarily, but a company like Experian, which deals with credit checking, might actually have a larger technology department dedicated to finance than something like an entertainment organization. So I think this is much more to do with specialization. A university which has as its specialization the turning out of doctors and lawyers will not necessarily be geared towards, let's say, English literature or something along those lines. So I think we can say that the phrase, I wonder why they don't have media studies, is because that's what they have chosen not to specialize in. We're in a very diverse economy at the moment, okay? Every single individual works out what their true nature is to the best of their ability. They work out what they can do, what they can't do, and what industries they can get involved in so they can try and climb the ladder in those various industries. Now, you then gave some employability statistics, to which I would inquire, what are they based upon? Is it a question of your first job? Is it a question of when you get your first job? Is it a question within the first 3 months or 6 months, 9 months or 12 months since graduation? Is it a question of your second job? Do the employment statistics actually chart the progress of the individual throughout their entire life? To which I would probably argue that the answer is probably no, although I don't have these statistics in front of me. I would say that that is a perspective based upon probably a narrow sample size, a narrow age demographic, or a narrow period of time since leaving university. And also, what is, in inverted commas, the job? Is it the first job that you pick up just so that you can pay your bills and start to pay off your student loan and credit card and all the other financial burdens that students have? Or is it actually the job, the one which helps you with your longer term career? Also, an individual, when going through their working career, may pick up a particular job to develop new skills in practice prior to actually using them in another environment. So, those statistics you're talking about are obviously quite interesting, but they don't necessarily latch on to what it actually means to have a career and what it actually means to basically get your job. So essentially, I'm not saying it's meaningless, because of course money for people is important, and of course I am definitely suggesting that in some respects you are correct, namely that there are some specialist universities that provide some specialist people for some specialist roles within society and within companies. But essentially, I don't feel that that negates that there is a real benefit to what media studies can provide. Now, from my video to you, you seem to extrapolate that I was suggesting that media studies is necessary for the world of human interaction. This is where things are going to start to get a bit more complex when we take into account the way that the world is going. These days, it's actually much harder to get away from something called a screen. It appears on your mobile phone, on your smartphone, on your computer when you come home from work. You've got your TV with your cable or satellite connection, which has technology embedded into it. You can even get a digital watch these days, which has got a mobile phone with internet built into it. So I understand screens and the ability to view things on screens, including pieces of text as well as video footage, is becoming much more the norm. And yes, in recent years, and so therefore the drive towards media studies over the past couple of decades, or 1 decade, or whenever it was, is actually quite useful in preparing for the way the world is becoming, rather than the world has become. I would say that a lot of individuals, organizations, would still be thinking in a career and worldview mindset from a previous era, say the mid to late 20th century, and what is regarded as being appropriate for an individual and for a career under those conditions, economic, social, and cultural. And therefore, we are going through a period of transition whereby media and media studies is becoming slowly more important. Alright. So, is media currently a necessity in terms of employability? It depends upon the quality of individuals you want and the roles you want them to fulfill. You mentioned technical people, for instance, computer programmers and operators who might be able to operate, let's say, the 3D computer generated design software that might be needed for a blockbuster movie. Okay, fine. That's a very interesting perspective. Same too with cameramen or lighting people and so on and so forth. But these are technical people who know a technical job. They are not creative people who understand or know a creative job. So essentially, are they themselves best designed for the process of, let's say, script writing, the positioning of actors, choosing the right varieties of actors, making sure that they use words correctly and in the right order and with the right intonation to be able to express a message? And on top of that, how would they use editing to be able to best express that message? I don't know whether you've got cable TV or satellite TV, but occasionally you see some of those more legacy, shall we say, TV shows from the earlier days of cable or satellite TV. And if you've been thinking a lot about how editing, for instance, has been used, how lighting has been used, the positioning of the actors, the backdrop, the whole scenery, you'll see that there's a certain lowering of the standard in the older work than in the more modern work. And this is to do with the way in which the genre and the style has actually started to progress. We've also got to think about the variety of analytical skills that people in general within society actually have when they come across a piece of media footage. Whether this is TV, whether this is audio coming over on an internet radio station, or indeed here on YouTube. What kind of mindset and attitude will they have? How will they be able to break down the arguments? How will they be able to explain how a person is actually conveying a message? Right? This is useful to decode what is happening in the world. Now, there are plenty of people who have got excellent qualifications from the finest universities and have 70 grand a year jobs or 150 grand a year jobs, but they don't know how to answer their email. Literally, this is a fact of the world. There are people who have amazing qualifications through and beyond PhD level who still fall short of understanding some key concepts. Alright, and this could be to do with something technical like operating their email, or it could be to do with something like understanding an argument which someone is portraying through video. It is important, especially in this era, for there to be a growing mass of people who are capable of saying, well, the editing in that program is bad, and on top of that, it's not only bad, it's there to change the message because of the use of images, the use of text going on in the background, or the words of the narrator. This is why, this is what they're trying to achieve, this is the way they're trying to do it, and this is wrong because. That is the eventual and growing role of media in the world. And yes, I still hold that media studies has an intellectual role in the world as well. In the previous video I gave the example of the movie Pulp Fiction, and I expressed it as a form of literature because it is essentially a form of literature. Very well crafted and very well created by Tarantino, I think it was. If one was to say that media studies, which can give people the ability to analyze this form of literature in movie form, is not important, what then would be the purpose of courses in English language, English literature, art history, all of these things which say something about us as a culture, how we have changed, how art itself expresses some deep meaning to the way in which we are living, the ideas which are being expressed in the world, the values that people have or think they have, the perceived view of reality that people either seem to have or wish to fantasize about to separate themselves from what is going on in their lives. And of course, the historical changes in a sociological way in terms of family structure, in terms of economic structure, the role of the individual in society, and a wide variety of other issues. I therefore still hold true to the fact that I believe that media studies is an important discipline, and it will have a much greater level of importance with the passage of time. It does depend upon whether you just want someone who understands how to use a camera or understands just how to use a piece of 3D computer generated imagery software, but doesn't understand the creative process, it doesn't understand the creative thoughts to go through the creation of a work of art. I mean, would the cameramen who actually worked on Pulp Fiction know how to create Pulp Fiction? Would they? No. Because that goes down to your directors and your producers, the people who've got much more knowledge about what the work of art is supposed to be and how to actually create that work of art. And that's what it is, okay? It's a work of art. Now, you may argue, of course, that any form of creative studies has no place in society and it's just like toilet paper. In which case, it would be my contention that you're throwing away some of the most important things in our society today. What I will admit, and I'll be willing to concede, is that media studies as a discipline probably will grow and expand and get much more deeper and more analytical with the passage of time. But I think this is more a question of need being the mother of invention, because of the complexity of human expression through media these days. Remember, I've got 3 screens. I've got the screen on my camera, I've got the screen on this phone, I've got my computer screen to my left, I've got my TV screen further around to my left. Okay? You can't get away from it. In my parents' house, they've got about 4 computers, 1 laptop, 2 desktops, and 1 other thing. I can't remember, I think that's a tablet computer. And these things are used for surfing the internet. reading text which has been written by someone who's got an agenda that they wish to be able to bring into the outer world. It's used for watching videos that people have created for the purposes of bringing an agenda into the outer world. To take away from the culture this particular form of artistic understanding is bad. Okay? It appears that you yourself have a rather old-fashioned way of looking at society, rather culturally conservative. And yeah, I mean, okay, you're free to have that point of view, but it's almost as if you're deriding art itself. That's just my opinion based upon what you said. Nick Dutch signing out for now.